Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. As per the usual, I am Gobble as Gobble. Greetings and salutations, and welcome back. If you are not yet subscribed and like what we do, please send us a subscription. And and let people know that you like there, please give us a click on that like video, that like button, because it shows that people are actually watching our content. So, as you can see in front of you, we're back to unboxing some new sets. And this time around, we have Murderers at Karlov Manor. Apparently this takes part in Ravnica, or a city of Ravnica maybe, but who knows. But we saw from the last video that they upped their game a little bit since the one video after the March of the Machines, where I kind of went off on things. And they've slowly been increasing things. Now, with this set, this is also more expensive too. Like the other one was, I think, $59. Let me double check that for a real quick second. But regardless, one was $59, one is $69. So I think this was $69 for this new set. But they have added a few things, and they've taken a few things away. They've actually gave us one more booster pack and increased the booster pack size to 14 cards. They took away 5 of the lands, but they took 5 traditional foils and 5 regular lands away. But they increased an extra booster pack and increased it from 12 to 14. So maybe they learned their lesson from their fuckery that they did from the Rise of the Machines. Don't know. But we'll see. But like I said, we got a lot to go. So without further ado, let's get into it. The box looks interesting. One of the apparently, if you can see through the diabolical scheme, reach out to your connections, continue your investigation, Ravnica Detective Agency. So, I guess it's a murder mystery set in the land of Ravnica. But, I'll finish opening boxing this. And we see more useful stuff. Unlocked, looks like poison counters, feather or flight. Then we have more 1 counters, more the images and so on and so forth. So we'll get that out of the way. We have our oversized D20. There's their symbol, which is the dagger, which makes sense. So let's see what we got. Which is weird, they're all the same instead of the different foils, which is probably maybe potentially it, but like I said, they're super thick. They upped it to 14. And we have, I guess, some of the traditional lands cards instead of just putting them in there now. Now they just give them a nice little packaging for it. We're going to do the same thing that we did last time. This is the Axebane Pharaoh. This is the alternate art that comes with the box. It's a 4-drop, 2 colorless, 2 green, 4/4. Death Touch Haste is a beast. War and a collect evidence 4. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player exiles cards from the top. Unless that player exiles cards with total mana value 4 or greater from their graveyard. So they remove cards from graveyard to find evidence. Okay. Bit weird, but as with some of the new mechanics. But we got full art. Yeah, we got full art lands, which I'm always a fan of. I love full arts. So that's right off the back, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, full arts are my favorite. But yeah, there's one of the plains, one of the blue, swamp, mountain, and forest. This is the other pack, and there are more. It was like this entire set is just full art, which is gonna make me happy because that's pretty cool. All full arts. Forest. And then they give us 2 how-to cards. Blocking and popular formats and so on and so forth. But without further ado, let's get into it. Apparently this is a blend of the best cards for draft and set boosters. So whatever that concept is, we'll figure out one way or the other. First up, we have the Rubble Belt Bagarat. Ooh, the Venetianos. They brought the Venetianos back. Nice. 5-drop, 5/5, 4-drop, 4 colorless, 1 red. Venetiano Warrior. Whenever Rumble Belt Bagarat attacks, if it is not suspected, you may suspect it. A suspect creature has menace and can't block. So that's going to be just some weird terminology and some weird mechanics in this set. But that's usually their entire game is, let's make it more complicated, even though it's already kind of a complicated game to begin with. But we can just play what they give us. Next one up is the Cerebral Confiscation. 3-drop. 2 colorless, 1 black. Sorcery. Choose 1. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Next up, we have the Vile Gehazi Inspector. 2-drop. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1/3. Elf Detective. An additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect 6 evidence, which is exile cards with total mana value 6 or greater from your graveyard. Reach. Whenever the Vitiju Kenzahi Inspector enters the battlefield, if evidence was collected, put a 1/1 counter on target creature and you gain 2 life. That just sounds like a whole bunch of complicated shit. Next up, we have the Gadget Tactician. 4-drop, 3/2. 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red. Goblin Artifactor. When a Gadget Tactician enters the battlefield or turn face up, create a 1/1 colorless Thropter artifact creature token with flying. Disguise. 2 blue or red, 2 of each, or 2 options, either blue or red, 2 blue, 2 red, or 1 and 1. You may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up anytime it's for its disguise cost. So essentially, they're reintroducing Morph for those of the old school. So they're bringing back Morph. Next up, we have the Hotshot Investigators. 6-drop, 5 colors, 1 blue, 4/4. Vidalcan Detectives. When Hotshot Investigators enters the battlefield, return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. If you controlled it, investigate. Create a clue token. If an artifact with create an artifact with pay 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. Next up, we have Out Cold. 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 blue, instant. This spell can't be countered. This includes by ward abilities. Tap up to 2 target creatures and put a stun counter on each of them. Investigate. If a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove 1 from it instead. Okay, that just seems more complicated than it should be. Next up is the Auspicious Arrival. 2-drop, instant, 1 colorless, 1 white. Instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, investigate. Create a clue token. It's an artifact with 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. So they're getting really weird mechanics now. Next up is Crime Novelist. 3-drop, 2 colorless, 1 red, 1/3 Goblin Bard. Whenever you sack an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on Crime Novelist and add a mountain. Okay. Hey, it's just like the video game. A Killer Among Us. 5-drop, 4 colorless, 1 green enchantment. When a Killer Among Us enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token, a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token, and a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Then secretly choose human, merfolk, or goblin. Sack a Killer Among Us, reveal the chosen creature type. If the target attacking creature token is the chosen type, put all 3 1/1 counters on it and it gains death touch until end of turn. So create 3 tokens and choose one, and then add +3/+3 and it gains death touch. Again, overcomplicated, but if it works, it works. Now we have case files now. The Case of Gorgon's Kiss as a 1-drop. When this case enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature that was dealt damage this turn. To solve, 3 or more creature cards. To solve it, 3 or more creature cards were put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn. If unsolved, solve at the beginning of your end step. Solved. This case is a 4/4 green Gorgon creature with death touch and lifelink, in additional to his other creature types. That's all I got to say for that. Next up, we have the Furtive Courier. The Fugitive, it's not Fugitive, it's Furtive Courier. 3-drop, 2 colorless, 1 blue, 3/2 Merfolk Advisor. Courier can't be blocked as long as you've sacrificed an artifact this turn. Whenever the Courier attacks, draw a card and discard a card. We have a Mythic. We pulled Karlov's Void Strider. 3-drop, 4/4, 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red. Artifact vehicle. Collect 6 evidence. Karlov's Void Strider becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Whenever Karlov's Void Strider attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from among cards exiled with it. If that spell would be put into graveyard, put it on the bottom of your library instead. Crew 2. So we got a Mythic right off the gate. So nifty. Then we got a Make Your Move. 3-drop, 2 colorless, 1 white. Instant, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. Then we got an extra land card. And apparently tokens for suspicious creatures, case solve, things locked and unlocked. So the extra card they put in there kind of just doesn't do anything, but apparently they give flying counters and poison counters now on top of the 1/1 counter, so. Okay. Next up. First up, we have the Bubble Smuggler. 2-drop, 1 colorless, 1 blue, 2/1. An octopus fish. Okay, disguise for 6. You may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up any time for a disguise cost. As Bubble Smuggler is turned face up, put 4 1/1 counters on it. Jesus Christ. It's like I said, this seems like a lot of over extra reaching for no real particular reason, but hey. Sanguine Survivor, 3-drop, 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, 2/1 vampire cleric, flying, lifelink, disguise. When sanguine survivor is turned face up, another target creature you control gains lifelink until end of turn. Next one up is the Agency Coroner. 5-drop, 4 colorless, 1 black, 3/6 Org Cleric. 2 colorless, black, sack another creature, draw a card. If the sacrificed creature was suspected, draw 2 cards instead. Next up, we have Slime Against Humanity. 3-drop, 2 colorless, 1 green, sorcery. Create a 0/0 green ooze token creature with trample. Put X 1/1 counters on it, where X is 2 plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are oozes or are named Slime Against Humanity. A deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity. I remember how broken those type of decks would get. Next up, we have the Novice Inspector. 1-drop, 1/2, 1 white. Creature human detective. When Novice Inspector enters the battlefield, investigate. Create a clue token. It's an artifact with 2. Sack this artifact, draw the card. Then we have Straight Up Murder. 3-drop, 1 colorless, 2 black. Destroy target creature. Straight up murder. Next up, we have the Curious Cadaver. Cadaver. 4-drop, 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. Flying Zombie Detective. 3/1. Flying. When you sacrifice a clue, return the Curious Cadaver from graveyard to your hand. Next up, we have the Sanctuary Wall. 2-drop, 0/4 walls, 1 colorless, 1 white. Defender. 2 colorless, white. Tap target creature. You may put a stun counter on it. If you do, put a stun counter on Sanctuary Wall. If a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove it from it instead. So there's probably just a gimmick with the mechanics to do that stuff. Next up, we have the Culvert Ambusher. 5-drop, 3 colorless, 2 green, 4/5 Worm Horror. When Culvert Ambusher enters the battlefield or is turned face up, target creature blocks this turn if able, disguise 5. Just let the door guy deal with it. Interesting. Next up, we have It Doesn't Add Up. 5-drop, 3 colorless, 2 black, instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Suspected. It has menace and can't be blocked. And our rare of the deck is the Assassin's Trophy. 2-drop, 1 black, 1 green. Instant. Destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that into the battlefield, then shuffle. Put that on a stick. There you go. That'll be fun. You get a land. We have another case of the Gorgon's Kiss. We also got Combine Cryostasis. 2-drop, 1 green, 1 blue, artifact. Creature tokens you control have flying. 2 colorless, green and blue, sack a token, create a 4/4 green beast creature token. Activate only as a sorcery. Land. And then a full art. From the Murders art series. Okay, on to the next one. That's a rare. Next up, we have a Crime Stopper Sprite areas. 3-drop, 2/2, Fairy Detective, 2 colorless, 1 blue. Additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect evidence 6. Flying, when Crime Stopper Sprite enters the battlefield, tap target creature. If evidence was collected, put a stun counter on it. Next up, we have a Innocent Bystander, 2-drop, 2/1, 1 colorless, 1 red. Creature, Goblin Citizen. Whenever Innocent Bystander is dealt 3 or more damage, investigate. Create a clue token if an artifact with 2 sacrifices artifact, draw a card. Next up, we have the Alley Assailant, 3-drop, 3/3, 2 colorless, 1 black. Vampire Rogue. Alley Assailant enters the battlefield, tap, disguise 6. When Alley Assailant is turned face up, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Next up, we have the Nervous Gardener, 2-drop, 2/2, Dryad, 1 colorless, 1 green. Disguise 1. When Nervous Gardener is turned face up, search your library for a basic land. Search for a land card with a basic land type, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Next up, we have the Public Thoroughfare. Land, Public Thoroughfare enters the battlefield tapped. When Public Thoroughfare enters the battlefield, sack it unless you tap an untapped artifact or land you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Next up, we have the Bethic Crimologist, 5-drop, 4 colorless, 1 blue, 4/5, Merfolk Wizard. When the Crimologist enters the battlefield or attacks, you may sack an artifact. If you do, draw a card. Next up, we have a Shady Informant, 5-drop, 4/2, 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 red, Orc Rogue. When Shady Informant dies, it deals 2 damage to any target. Disguise, 2 colorless, 2 black, 2 red, or a black and red. Next up, we have the Demand Answers, 2-drop, 1 colorless, 1 red. Instant, at an additional cost to cast this spell, sack an artifact or discard a card, draw 2 cards. Next up, we have the Case of the Pilfered Proof. Whenever a detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, put 1/1 counter on it. To solve, you control 3 or more detectives. Solved, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, you choose tokens plus a clue. Tokens are created instead. A mouthful. Next up, we have Repulsive Mutation, X-drop, green-blue. Instant, put X 1/1 counters on target creature you control, then counter up to 1 target spell unless its controller pays mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. That's weird. But it's just phrasing. Next up, we have Rope. 1-drop, artifact clue equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has reach and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. 2, sacrifice Rope, draw the card, equip 3. Next up is our rare, and we have Lost in the Maze. X blue. X 2 blues. Enchantment. Flash. Whenever Lost in the Maze enters the battlefield, tap X target creatures. Put a stun counter on each of those creatures you don't control. Tapped creatures you control have hexproof. Then we got Hollow Crimologists. We got a Swamp. And then we have a Mysterious Creature. 2/2. You can cover a face-down creature with this reminder card. A face-down creature, this was cloaked or cast with disguise, has Ward 2. Whenever this creature becomes a target of spell or ability and opponent controls, counter it unless that player plays 2. So ward gives it essentially hexproof. So that's interesting, but we're about out of time. So for this part, stick around for part 2, and we shall see you in the next one.